Welcome to the Global War Watch Network. So today we're tackling a massive question. Is what we're seeing in Gaza a real deal for peace, or is it just a pause in the fighting? You've probably seen the headlines. For the first time, Hamas is saying it's ready for peace, and the U.S. is claiming the Gaza war could finally be over. But, and this is the big but, can anyone really trust this truce? That's what we're going to unpack. So let's start with the big news. A breakthrough for peace? I mean, it really seemed like it. The announcement was huge, especially after almost 2 years of just devastating conflict. It felt like finally a genuine breakthrough might actually be happening. Okay, so how did we even get here? Well, the stage was set with this really intense ultimatum from US President Donald Trump. He basically gave Hamas a deadline. Accept this 20-point peace plan or, and these are his words, all hell will break loose. And what happened? Hamas responded, showing a new kind of flexibility. Of course, President Trump jumped right on that, declaring on social media that he believed Hamas was, quote, ready for a lasting peace. Okay, so that's the setup. But what is this U.S. peace plan exactly? Let's take a look at what's actually on the table. All right, it's a pretty comprehensive, multi-stage process. First up, an immediate ceasefire and the release of all hostages. Then you've got a phased withdrawal of Israeli forces from Gaza. Step 3 involves international oversight for reconstruction, which would be headed by something called a Board of Peace. After that, amnesty for Hamas fighters, but only if they disarm. And finally, the last piece of the puzzle, a path, a bit vague, but still a path toward eventual Palestinian statehood. So the world is holding its breath, right? And Hamas delivers its response. They said yes, but it was a conditional yes. And what they didn't say is maybe even more important than what they did. And this is where the devil is truly in the details. Let's break it down. On the agreed-to side, Hamas said yes, they'd release all Israeli hostages. They also agreed to hand over Gaza's administration to a group of independent technocrats and to start talks. Sounds good, right? But now look at what they completely ignored. There was zero mention of disarming their fighters, no acceptance of that International Board of Peace, and absolutely no commitment to a firm timeline. Those are pretty big omissions. You know, one political analyst based in Ramallah, Ismat Mansour, he put it perfectly. He said, it's a tactical retreat, not a strategic surrender. And that really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? It suggests Hamas was just trying to ease some of that international pressure, all while holding on to its real power. But believe it or not, the story gets even more complicated. Because just as everyone was trying to figure out Hamas's response, this huge question mark appeared. Were the two sides even looking at the same deal? It was a real tale of two deals. So you have to ask, was this plan, the one Hamas was responding to, the same one that Arab and Muslim mediators had spent so much time working on with the U.S.? That's the key question that started bubbling up. Well, the answer came back, and it was a loud and clear no. An Arab official who was apparently furious told the Associated Press, and I'm quoting here, "This is not what we agreed on. This is the Netanyahu plan." Wow. So what were these Netanyahu edits? It turns out, at the very last minute, the Israeli Prime Minister had managed to get some major changes in there. For one, the Israeli withdrawal was suddenly tied to specific demilitarization goals. It also meant Israeli troops could stay in over a third of Gaza for much longer. A new permanent security buffer zone was added, and that amnesty for Hamas members, it now had a brand new, very explicit condition. They had to decommission their weapons first. Huge changes. Okay, so while all this high-level diplomacy and back and forth is happening, what about the people actually living through this? For the 2.3 million residents of Gaza, the reality on the ground is, well, it's something else entirely. It's unchanged and it's inescapable. Just look at this. This is the cost of it all. After 2 years of brutal conflict, the physical landscape of Gaza is just gone. Most of its infrastructure is in ruins. It's been completely and fundamentally altered. And the human cost, it's just staggering. The death toll in Gaza, based on the latest figures we have, is now over 47,000 people. On top of that, you have an estimated 1.9 million people who have been internally displaced. I mean, think about that. Their lives have been completely uprooted. And then there's the economic devastation, which is almost impossible to wrap your head around. The total losses and the money needed for reconstruction are now estimated to be over $53 billion. And all of this really hits home when you hear from residents like Mohammed Abu Rayala. He was standing in the ruins of his home, and he said the high-level talks just feel a world away. His words were, "We hear about understandings and truces, but the planes never leave the sky." That really says it all, doesn't it? So, after all of that, where do things stand? Well, the path forward is incredibly fragile, and the future is anything but certain. Look, there is a glimmer of hope. I mean, the fact that talks are happening at all is a big deal. But that hope is just being buried under these massive fundamental disagreements, a complete lack of trust. And of course, this bombshell revelation that the key players might not even be talking about the same deal. And that really brings us back to the question we started with. Is this a real, genuine opening for a lasting peace? A chance to finally end the bloodshed? Or is this whole thing just a complex game, a maneuver by all sides to, as one analyst put it, just buy time under fire? Thank you for joining us here at the Global War Watch Network. If you found this explainer valuable, please do us a huge favor and like, share, and subscribe. We really want to hear what you think, so drop your thoughts in the comments below. And hey, join the conversation with us on social media. All the links are right there in the description. We'll see you next time.